Clark Drive, Campbell Avenue, Hawks Avenue, Jackson Avenue, Dunleavy Avenue, Main Street.
75% of the population who was skeptical of the election were basically correct. Policy is determined by power, by concentration of domestic power. And it's not a big secret how power is concentrated domestically. It's concentrated in huge conglomerates, which are internally tyrannies, in effect. They're mostly unaccountable to the public. They're given enormous rights, far beyond the rights of persons. They're linked to one another in all kinds of alliances. They have an overwhelming effect on state policy, which largely keeps to what they want. So and if they happen to differ, if there's splits among them, you get things coming up in elections. Where they agree, it doesn't come up. Like some of the major issues for the U.S. population are things like the international economic agreements, what are called trade agreements, so they don't have much to do with trade, or say the free trade area of the Americas or the trade deficit and so on. These are really top issues. They don't come up in the elections. And they don't come up in the elections for a very simple reason. The business world is on one side and the population is on the other side, very largely. And they know it. So like in the Wall Street Journal, they say, the problem is if these things come up, opponents of these agreements have what they call an ultimate weapon, namely the general population. So therefore we have to keep them from coming up. And they don't come up in elections, and they're not discussed. And the population more or less knows that, even if they don't know all the details about, GATS and so on. Yeah, except, anyone who tries to break out of that rather rigid framework is going to be marginalized, because they don't have the resources and they don't they don't have the media and they don't have the organization and so on. It's going to take large popular movements to change this. And that can happen. It's happened in the past. I mean, that's why freedom and justice have expanded over the centuries. It's never been gifts. It wasn't gifts from the rich and powerful. These are things that were won. They were won by the labor movement and by the women's movement and by the civil rights movement and by human rights movements. They're won by popular struggle. Then you get you move forward. But they're never given as gifts. And they won't be in the future.